Subcommittee. My colleagues, to my left is Councilor Frankie Dakota. To my right is Councilor Rodney Elliott. And we'll give everyone a chance to speak and offer their concerns. The manager has a report that he's furnished the subcommittee with and the city council. And we like to bring closure to this issue and move on. And with that said, I would like the clerk to call the roll, please.
Councilor Caulfield.
Here.
Councilor Dakota.
Here.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
3 present.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize in attendance is Councilor Bill Martin, Mayor James Milanazzo, City Manager Bernard Lynch, City Councilor Rita Mercer, and our Solicitor Christine O'Connor. With that said, I'd like to recognize Manager Lynch to give us an overview and discuss the report.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the subcommittee for scheduling this meeting and continuing to work on the issue that I know has been raised regarding the library and the perceptions of the library in terms of its safety and the concerns that some people, in particular some of the staff people, have raised regarding the issue of safety and having the proper policies in place. When this subcommittee met on this issue back in December, right before the holidays, they asked for a number of things to be looked at, including the hours of the security guard and looking at some of the policies. I went back to and working with Vicki Woodley, the library director. We talked about some of this, and particularly the issues of the employees and their perceptions and their ideas regarding library safety and library usage. And thought that the best idea really was to go right to the source and ask the library employees to work together on a task force looking at these issues. I did ask that that one trustee be involved in this process as well. And over the course of the last couple of months, because by the time the holidays passed and we got this set up, it was really the end of January. They've had, over the last couple of months, a number of meetings, received input from many of the library employees, did some research about some of the other libraries in the area or our peer communities to address this and look at this issue. I want to thank them for the work that they put forward. It was a good group. It had representation from all different segments of the library staff. And as I say, the library trustees. I think I'm going to ask Nancy Pitkin to actually make a presentation on what their findings were and what their recommendations are to bring to the Board of Trustees and the other actions that have been taken. I will say, and you already know this, that the hours of the security guard have been extended. We did increase those, so we now have the security guard coverage from 2 to 9, and we thought that was something that we could do after we were able to identify a source of funding to make that happen. What you're going to hear about tonight is mostly the policy issues, the findings and the recommended policy changes. But beyond that, I had a very good meeting with the library trustees and library director a few weeks ago, talking about really addressing some of the other issues that we have of making the library much more user-friendly, particularly for the teens of our community, and also putting in place some programs that would work to, again, make it very attractive for the teens to use the library, but beyond that, also take steps to ensure that their usage did not result in any negative effect upon any of the other users of the library. We have different groups that come and use the library, and some of their needs are a little bit different. So we see this as really a launching off point, not as necessarily as an end, but really as a launching off point to make the library even more successful than it is already. So at this point, I'm going to ask, with the subcommittee's acceptance, for Nancy Pitkin, the trustee that's been working on this issue, and I think the de facto chair of the task force, to make a report.
Well, can I ask a question?
Before Mrs. Pitkin gets to the microphone, Council Elliott has a
Thank
question.
you. You had mentioned the task force, Mr. Manager. I guess I want to know why you didn't put any of the library assistants on that had come to these meetings to express their concerns, their safety concerns.
Right.
Why were none of those individuals put on?
We do have two library assistants on the,
I know,
task force.
I understand, and I asked the same question at a council meeting. I want to know why some of these individuals that came to the meeting that specifically had these concerns, they specifically asked questions, and I thought it would be a good idea to hear both sides, particularly their safety concerns.
Actually, a number of the library assistants were given the opportunity to participate as members of the task force and chose not to for a variety of reasons. It's up to them. Others, they were given all the opportunity to participate in the fact-gathering portion of it, and some did and some didn't. That's, I guess, the short answer.
But wouldn't it make sense, though? I mean, I know I'm
Again,
pressing
we
you.
asked.
Wouldn't it make sense to have those individuals that came to the meeting that spoke specific to specific issues and the concern? I don't understand why you didn't put those individuals on.
Well, I can't force them on, and we did offer them the opportunity to be on, some of them, and they chose not to. Others, very frankly, I did make what is often a tough decision to, in at least a couple of occasions, a couple of the individuals, and I won't get into the specifics of that, that if people come in with a set opinion right off the bat, then you really don't have the open mind that you want to study a problem. But we did make the offer pretty much to all of the library assistants that came forward, and as again, they chose not to, and I can't force them to do that.
Could I, Mr. Chair, could I ask a question, please? Could I ask a question?
Councilor Mercier.
From what I'm understanding, these people that were not on, that chose not to be on, I believe that there was such a thing called a survey that was anonymous, and it was my understanding that anonymous to me means nobody knows what you're writing, but yet their names were on them, so that when you returned it back...
It wasn't anonymous.
It wasn't anonymous.
No, it was not anonymous. Because we spoke to the people who we were questioning, like we actually had them come in and sit with us and we asked them questions, it wasn't anonymous.
So none of this survey was anonymous?
No, the survey was not anonymous.
Okay.
No. I think we chose...
Mrs. Pitkin, why don't you give us an overview on...
Okay.
We'll go from there.
The actual report is about 18 pages long, if
Yes.
you look at that, and a lot of work went into this, and you all have it. So I'm not going to read this because I think it's kind of dull, actually, because it's a lot of statistics and pictures and facts. I'd like to tell you some of the things that have happened to me as I've been in the library. In November, I visited a castle in a museum in Caserta, Italy, and came out from that wanting to know more about a particular Italian hero, Giuseppe Garibaldi. I went to the library to get a book out, found 3 books about him in the library, and one of them didn't have a barcode on it. It was also published in 1907. Obviously, since we've been using barcodes since 1995, no one's taken this book out, and I thought, wow, this can't happen very often in the library because, the book has been here a long time. So when I went to check it out, the librarian put the barcode in, put the pocket in, and let me take the book out, which I thought was really cool. I didn't know at the time that that's what happens many times in the library. There are over 200 incident reports that have been written in the past 3 years, and 100 of them, 50% of them, are about missing library materials, pockets, barcodes, DVD cases broken. And those are the kinds of incidents reports that were written. The library's been open about 9,000 hours in the past 3 years, and during that time, it's only 204 incident reports that have been made. Because I'm on the task force, I was able to analyze those incident reports, and those reports, actually, I should say, those incident reports go through March 1st of this year. When I sorted the incidents by type, Only 14 of those incidents, 6.8% of the incident reports, allege some type of threatening behavior. There are less than 4 reports involving computers in the library. One patron smashed a monitor. A careful review of the incident reports showed absolutely no reports of pornography being viewed on any computer at the library. It's impossible for the task force to deal with unsupported allegations without documentation. Completed incident reports filed through proper channels. As a member of the task force, I've been in the library about 30 hours over the past 2 months, and that doesn't include the trustees' meetings or the book club. I've spent a bit of time in the elevator. One time, 2 young girls were pretty giggly and loud and discussing how they had gotten through the 8th grade. Another time, 2 young boys were racing to the ground floor to see who got there first. One chose the stairs, the other one chose the elevator with me, and I thought, oh, you poor kid, you're gonna lose because the elevator takes forever. Everyone knows the stairs are much faster in the elevator. This is just an example of kids being kids. They weren't being destructive or doing anything except being themselves. The task force reviewed the user policy from many urban libraries: Haverhill, Lynn, Everett, Lawrence, Fitchburg, Springfield, Boston. Each of the urban libraries' user policies had language similar to the updated current policy in our library. There were recommendations made to the Library Board of Trustees about that, and the Library Board of Trustees voted to update our user policy in March. The task force concluded that the purpose of the user policy is not uniformly understood by the staff. It's meant to guide, as a guide to provide optimum service to people who are using the library. Staff expressed confusion and divergent points of view as to their role in the enforcement of the user policy. As a solution to the confusion, the task force recommends regularly scheduled staff meetings to notify all library personnel about policies. These meetings must include detailed discussions as to the meaning and/or the interpretation of these policies. Incident reports must be required to be filed as the vehicle to keep the supervisors aware of problems. All parties need to accept that a failure to follow a chain of command in responding to problems sabotages procedures as well as an orderly response in the library. Regularly scheduled staff meetings are also where all staff would find out what happens when an incident report is filed. None of the policies reviewed from other libraries showed any linkage between a specific violation and exact form of discipline. In other words, specific causes didn't lead to a specific outcome. Each policy allows staff to intervene to stop prohibited behavior and/or activities, but doesn't go beyond this generalized provision. There seemed to be a fundamental unawareness of the differences between policy and procedure in the library. The user policy is a guide to patron behavior. Procedures guide staff responses to violations of the user policy. The procedures are being reviewed by the trustees and the administration of the library. The recommendations that we came up with, and there's quite a list of them: review and update policies by the trustees, place a policy book at all workstations, update procedures as necessary, develop an employee handbook with policies and sample procedures, schedule regularly staff meetings to discuss policy, strengthen and clarify the chain of command, clarify the role of staff, mandate the use of incident reports, improve the phone system, provide a method for public address. Although beyond the scope of our mission, the task force felt obligated to make recommendations from the data that was generated from our staff questionnaire. 80% of the respondents did not have a security issue or concern in the library. There were recommendations made for customer service training, the need for custodial services, and the building upkeep and lack of staff. The recommendations from the task force are: arrange customer service training for all staff, explore closing the library for a day of training and/or catch-up work, allocate funds for capital improvement, such as the rug, which is awful, increase custodial services, explore repositioning workstations, and hire staff as budget permits. I'd also like to add that just yesterday, I received an email from the library about events in the library that are going on in April. The Nonfiction Book Club meets this week, actually on Thursday. Massachusetts Library Snapshot Day, Independent Film Night, Common Threads, 7 Poets and a Wealth of Readers, the Saturday Matinee. The Pollard Memorial Library Foundation is having author Linda Greenlaw come. The 4th Annual Film Festival, and there's 3 children events that are starting in April on multiple dates, one for those under 3, one for those over 3, and a Lego Club. This is just a sample of the program that happens at the library, and I participate in the Nonfiction Book Club, and the program is terrific. The group that attends is representative of the population of Lowell. I'd like to say the Pollard Memorial Library is a safe place for the citizens. The task force recommendation for customer service professional development will only increase the public's enjoyment of this public institution. Thank you. Questions?
Thank you very much. I believe there's an employee of the library who would like to speak after Mrs. Pitkin. Just give us your name, please.
Of course. My name is Sean Thibodeau. I live at 74 Merrill Avenue, and I'm the community planning librarian at the Pollard. And I'm today speaking as a citizen of Lowell and also as the community planning librarian. And I'd like to address the sensationalist tone and misleading message in the public discussion regarding possible safety issues at the library. If I didn't know any better from spending time in the stacks on the reference desk at the library, I might get the impression that our library is being torn apart by wild gangs of teenagers and sex offenders. But I do know better. I know the library is a safe place. Not only that, I know the library is a wonderful place. The library is safe because it is our American democracy's great equalizer. The library is wonderful because in our society, the library is the one place where any citizen can go, no matter their socioeconomic status, background, or viewpoint, to access information for enrichment, entertainment, and personal betterment. And in serving this function, the library betters its community. I see this play out on the reference desk every single day when I help someone who has never used a computer apply for a job online. I see it when students come to the reference desk to ask for help researching a topic or studying for an exam, and they walk away with not only the information they sought, but the knowledge of how to find it themselves for future inquiries. I see it in our robust adult literacy program, which gives non-native English speakers an opportunity to learn, and our dedicated tutor volunteers to give of their time and of themselves. I see it when teenagers come to the library after school to volunteer or for our young adult librarian, or enter a tongue twister contest, or make a craft they can take home. I see it when I walk by patrons, young and old, immersed in a book or a computer, seeking to better their station, to refine their knowledge, and to enrich their lives. And I'll see it next Wednesday, April 13th, as Nancy alluded to, when the Pollard participates in the statewide Library Snapshot Day program. We'll have a unique opportunity to document through pictures and statistics a day in the life at the Pollard. I'm not saying an urban library such as ours is not without its challenges, but the administration at the Pollard and its dedicated librarians are working to meet those challenges. What's being left out of this public discussion? Much about the possible safety issues of the library, much to the library's detriment, is all that is good about the library and its services and programs. What's being left out of is the good work that is being done by the Pollard's librarians to make the library a relevant, helpful, and meaningful place for the citizens of Lowell to come to and to utilize on a daily basis. Perhaps this is being left out because these discussions of possible safety issues in the library fail to appreciate these issues within a larger context. The larger context being that the problems we may have with disruptive patrons or vandalism are minute compared to the large population of patrons, Lowell citizens like you or me, who utilize and benefit from the library's services, materials, and programs on a daily basis without incident, and who understand that a few bad apples shouldn't be allowed to ruin the barrel. I mostly want to take this opportunity to assure the citizens of Lowell that their library is a safe, welcoming, and wonderful place. I want to ask them to put aside the sensationalism of the current discussion and encourage them to come down to see the library for themselves, whether it be next Wednesday for Library Snapshot Day or any other day. And I want to ask them to reap the benefits of having such a beautiful library as ours. Not only is the uniqueness and beauty of the Pollard's physical structure unmatched in any modern library, but the Pollard's collection, services, and programs are second to none. The Pollard Library is a reflection of its community, and Lowell is too rich in cultural history, too unique in its diverse population, and frankly, too vibrant a city to fail to appreciate the benefits of its public library. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thibodeau. Now, there's one other woman who would like, another person like to speak, and then I'm going to ask a spokesman from this side to speak.
Actually, I think there's more prepared to speak because, like Sean, I am a librarian. My name is Patricia Callahan. I'm the part-time reference at the Pollard Library. I have a letter, but rather than reading the whole letter, because there are a lot of people who wish to speak, I can summarize it. Basically, I think a few negative incidents were allowed to overshadow the library's wonderful programs, services, and resources. And I can say that because I have 35 years' experience working with middle school kids, junior high school kids, and high school kids. Have I seen behavior that is unacceptable? Certainly. But I saw behavior in my 35 years that was unacceptable. But have I seen anything so extremely outrageous that I think that it warranted this sensationalistic publications? No. What I would like the people in Lowell to know is that we have lots of things for them. We have, you can download ebooks with Overdrive. You can learn English through a literacy program. You can borrow materials from 35 other libraries. You can do it all from home on your computer, making reservations. You can get museum passes. You want to see the MFA's new wing? $7 instead of $20, a pretty good deal. And that's only one of the museum passes we have. But what I also want people to know is that when I think of the library, I take pride in the library, in the city, when visitors from out of state remark upon the amazing Philip Toe paintings that we have. I celebrate when a job seeker comes back to report success. I take satisfaction when a searcher finds a family link through Lowell's resources. And I enjoy getting that 90-year-old on the internet highway at the computer classes. These are the interactions that represent my images of the Pollard Library. And these are the images that the community should also see. Right? I did see some of you come and visit. Right? I imagine if you go through your minds, think, did you see outrageous behavior? No. And in all the hours I've worked, in the 4 years almost that I've worked, honest to goodness, no one has ever sworn at me. I don't know whether I'm exceptional. Have kids used words that are not polite? Yes. But I have not had to put up with abusive language that allegedly occurs, according to some letters, on a day-to-day basis. Does not. The library is a wonderful, safe place.
Thank you. I believe there's someone who wants to speak on this. Yes, please. We have a council meeting tonight at 6:30, so we are, stretched for time here. So we want to get as much done as we can and to bring this problem to closure. Go ahead. Give us your name, please.
TJ Cooper. I'm Vice President of AFSCME 1705. I represent some of the employees over at the library. Just wanted to say that wanted to thank you for extending the hours of the security guard and also addressing the matter of the sex offenders in the library. Those seem to be two of the biggest problems. I've met with a bunch of the employees separately. They've written letters and met with them separately. And the other common problem that came up is the user policy or the behavior policy, that it needs to be tightened up. There really seems to be no rhyme or reason. Kids are thrown out 1 minute and allowed back in another door 15 minutes later or the very next day. So those are the issues we were hoping would be addressed with this task force. I haven't read your report, so I don't know what they've recommended. As far as, just to answer your question, as far as the employees being asked to be on this task force, they were all invited to be on it. But one employee asked if she could confer with the union, meaning me, or could I be part of it, and was asked, don't you have a brain of your own? Why would you want to do that? So that's why they were reluctant to join the task force. A week or two after, they wanted to join the task force, but it was too late because it had already been started. So. Thank you. We look forward to reading this document that's been created, and if we have any concerns or questions, we'd like to come back and discuss it with you.
Thank you very much, TJ. Thank you. Any of my colleagues on the subcommittee like to offer any response? Councilor Elliott?
Well, I agree. The report's dated the 30th, Mr. Manager. Is there any reason why it's an 18-page document, so we knew that we were coming to this meeting. Is there any reason why we could, or did the library not get it to you in time, or, I mean, it's hard for us to take action on these.
Yes, Ms.
Away for
Pitkin
5
was away
days.
for 5 days, and, right.
So you just got this on Friday?
We just got it out. We weren't able to get it out with the packets, but it's certainly, we'll be happy to come back and speak again on the issue.
Okay. I mean, none of us have a chance to go through this, so I did listen intently as Nancy went through the recommendations, and they looked pretty good, but I was just curious when it came in.
Councilor Dakota?
Thank you very much. May I ask, just to clarify, is the behavior policy that you're talking about, TJ, the same as the procedure policy that you're talking about? They're two different things. And is there a plan on this side to resolve the issue of the behavior policy?
Behavior policy is in the packet.
That's in the packet. So that is the general policy that you were speaking about. So you resolved the general policy and you haven't seen that yet? Okay, so you haven't seen that, as we've not seen it either. And then you will be continuing to work on the procedures. I understand. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councilor Mercia, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad that we've come to this point because I think we've brought forward a number of issues and I think they were addressed. I think it's very important to have someone in charge that has an appearance of authority, such as a security guard, where people, or I should say the youth of our city, sometimes get a little belligerent. But I want to take you back to the very beginning as to concerns that were brought up to me, and I think my duty as a city councilor is to address an issue, whether it be something that I think probably I'd rather not talk about, because I don't want the image of the library to be tarnished either. I happen to have been one of the people that voted to spend $10 million to refurbish that library, and if I didn't really give a darn or thought it was worthwhile, I wouldn't have done that. But I do have a paper with the interview that says, what is your most urgent concern for the library at this moment? And one of the trustees or people on that manager's task force said, damage control for the library. Reputation has been damaged by the safety subcommittee meeting. And I take exception to that statement because it isn't the public safety subcommittee that brought this issue forward, it was me. I brought the issue forward, and I brought it forward because a constituent and a few others said they had concerns. Do you think it is my duty as a city councilor to say, well, we're not going to discuss that, or I'm going to sweep that under the rug? I don't want your image tarnished. I love my library. I don't want it to be portrayed as a very unsafe place. And having said that, I back that up because Sean Thibodeau came forward and he said the misleading message. If there's such a misleading message, why did the manager form a task force to begin with? Why do we not have extended hours for a public safety official to be there to monitor things? Why did we review the policy, which is all I asked for in the first place? I will not make an apology for asking questions or digging and make something a lot better. I think the library is going to be a lot better because we've addressed concerns. We do this all the time. We see neighborhood groups and they have problems and concerns. They love their neighborhood, but they bring it forward to us so that we can pinpoint the problems and address it and make it better. That is my job. It'll always be my job. I'm sorry that you take offense with me doing my job. Having said that, misleading messages, nothing egregious. Do you think urinating in an elevator is an egregious act? I do. Do you think threatening a person that works at the library because they issued a directive to please stop? Do you think that it's worthwhile for a child 9 years old to be dropped off at the library? If I change that by making children older to be left alone, then what I did was worth it, and I don't apologize for that. I'm not an unreasonable person, but when I see a facility so good as the library that I want it to be better, I know it'll never be perfect. I know we're dealing with human nature. We're dealing with people. I worked in fast food services for many years. It's not easy dealing with the public. I, of all, know that. It's not easy dealing with people coming in off the street. All I'm asking for is that you people are protected, that you're safe. And I think we've accomplished that by what the subcommittee chair has asked. Please get a security guard there for longer hours. It's not that we want to tarnish your image. Absolutely not. It's a wonderful facility, but only by making it greater can we address the problems that we see facing it. I want to know if there's a leak in a particular area in the library. If there is, then it should be addressed and it should be corrected. We have people that work in the city that are roofers or wherever that leak is coming from. That's my job, to make things better. And that's all I have to say. Are we going to prolong this issue even further? Absolutely not. I don't want it to go any further. I want people to get along. I don't want this group over here and that group over there. I work with 16 people every single day. We try to get along. We want it to be a team. That's what I want it to be. And I think we're a part of the team as city councilors by addressing concerns. Was it directed to the proper channel? I don't know that. That's not my issue. My issue is I was addressed with the problem. I'm trying to make it better. I'm not trying to hurt you. I love that library just as much as you. Probably not as much as you, because you work there day in and day out. You know that. You feel a more part of it than I do. I've been there. I've never seen any problems. I haven't. I've been there many times. You probably didn't see me, but I have. I want to review the policy. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I want people that have no business in the child section of the library. I want them not there if they're suspicious looking. It's only for the protection of everybody. And that's where I'll end it. And I hope that we can be friendly and not be upset about what I said, because it's only to make it a better place. And that's where I stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mercier. I just want to recognize Councilor Kevin Broderick, who was also in attendance. Just to bring closure to this issue, Mr. Manager, is there a sign? I didn't see one in the entrance to the library in the front of the building. No loitering, police take notice. Is there such a sign there?
No, there isn't.
And there's no sign at the rear of the building either. And I would like to bring a motion forward that we install a sign, no loitering, please take notice, and that would certainly address some people who are congregating in front of the building, and it would be more or less a strong signal that we just can't permit this to continue. So I see people shaking their heads. Why are you shaking your heads? What's that? Right. Well,
My name's Tony
give us your name,
Sampas.
please.
My name's Tony Sampas. I grew up in Lowell. I work at UMass Lowell full-time, and I work at the Pollard as a reference librarian in the evening. I've never been threatened. I've never felt unsafe, and the joy that you get out of helping people far outweighs some teenage kids who don't behave very well. And I don't think we need a negative sign that says no loitering or no trespassing, because it's an open public place and you shouldn't have that kind of signal out in front.
Well, there's no such thing in the motion, no trespassing. I think the intent of the motion, there are some people who congregate on the steps who never go in the library. And that's, Mr. Manager, I'm going to address this issue to you. You have a problem with this?
Well, I kind of do. If there are kids, particularly on the front steps, we have the school bus drives by here picks kids up. We have kids sitting out there that are waiting for rides. Do they get rambunctious at times? I'm sure they do. And I think it may require us then, particularly since we now have this security guard, to go out and tell them, look, calm down. But I think it becomes a difficult situation when you have a sign that says no loitering. Then there has to be this judgment call. What constitutes loitering and what doesn't? If one kid's sitting there, or two kids are sitting there, are they loitering? Well, technically they are. They're just hanging out there. If it's 3 kids or 4 kids that someone inside the library doesn't like to be out there, and the police are called, I think it becomes a difficult case of how we define what's
fine.
loitering.
I withdraw the
I
motion.
understand your concerns, though, and I think we can address that, but I think it just becomes, I understand what the gentleman was saying about the sense that it sends, but my concern is really one, too, of administration, how you administer that.
Okay, I withdraw the motion. As long as it's not an issue or a problem.
Right.
Then fine. The most important building in any community, I don't care if you're in Pelham, New Hampshire, or Brooklyn, New York, or San Francisco, or Lowell, Mass. It's the library, where thousands upon thousands of people, especially students, go and learn. And the library helps them with their education, whether they're at Lowell High School, Lowell Catholic, or UMass Lowell, or Middlesex Community College. And this subcommittee has done due diligence trying to bring this to closure. I received, and I know my colleagues have received, emails. Some of the stamps that was put on these envelopes was quite expensive. And the emails, he said, she said, I said, and the soap opera's on every day, and this is what this is turning out to be. The Hatfields and McCoys. If the subcommittee has accomplished one thing, the security guard is now on duty from 2 to 9. That is a win, win, win. And everyone should be happy about that. But as a citizen of the city and as an elected official, I'm not happy that you're sitting on that side of the room and you're sitting on this side of the room. There has to be some sort of kumbaya, and let's work together to service the people and the students who attend that building. There's one issue that I like to bring forward, and I received this information from not one person, but a few people, and it had no one that works in a library. When the security guard goes up to someone and says, you can't do that here, you have to leave. Mr. Manager, the employee of the library can't go up to the security guard and say, you know what, that person's okay. Don't bother him, forget it. The role of the security guard is, what's the role of the security guard? That's the question that was presented to me, and the security guard indicated, what am I doing here? Yeah. There has to be some role for that security guard, and the employees of the library are to service the customer at the desk. If we're going to handcuff the security guard, I think we're missing something there.
Well, I think we don't want to handcuff the security guard, but we also want the security guard operating under certain procedures. And that's why we have someone in charge all of the time at the library. And the security guard is to work hand in hand with that person to address situations that arise. We can't have just any employee, or the security guard, or any employee directing the security guard to go throw someone out. That has to be a decision made at a higher level. And if I may, Council, if I could, and I'd rather, you know, I agree with you. I'd appreciate a kumbaya moment here. I think this is, it should be very clear that I think to the subcommittee and to the city council that they've ventured into a quagmire here, and it's very much. Are there issues that arise in the Pollard Library? Like any library, yes. I've said that from the get-go. But I think what I think everyone is kind of seeing here is that the council has been brought into a personnel issue, and that's I think I sympathize with you. It's how I spend a good portion of my day is getting stuck into personnel issues and personality issues. But I think that you're right, there has been attention paid to a particular issue. I think the task force has done a tremendous job. I think you have a number, it is unfortunate that there's a split in the library, but I think that you can see that there are people that feel very strongly about the services that the library provides. I know Councilor Mercier has indicated support for what the services they provide. We want it to be safe, but we want to certainly make sure that the message is out there, that it is safe, and that the library does outstanding work. You know, we're going to continue. I think the training that we're going to be doing with all of our employees is going to go a long way towards solving many of these issues. Hopefully it will. Some people just don't fit into an organization, though, and if they don't, they need to make some decisions regarding themselves as to, you know, how are they going to respond to that. They're either going to adapt or do something else. So,
one last thing, I know Councilor Elliott wants to speak, and we're going to adjourn this meeting at 20 past 6, because there's a council meeting, and it's not fair to the council and the mayor to start the meeting at 6:31. It's just not right. I never liked it when I was the mayor, and I'm not going to let that happen to Mayor Milanazzo. It was reported this evening that Mr. Manager, everyone was offered a role on the task force, and some refused. Is that so?
that's correct.
Okay. Councilor Elliott?
I think Council Martin has been waiting for some time.
The council.
Yeah. Listen, I think it's important to acknowledge the contributions of the people that took the time to come down to speak here tonight and who've worked on this issue. So I think to each and every member who served in the task force, which met for multiple weeks to try and make the library a better place, I think we owe them our thanks and gratitude. I also think we owe thanks and gratitude to the people that came here to speak tonight. It's apparent to me that they have a real passion for what they do and what the mission of the library is and what the library does for work. And I also want to thank the representative of the union who came also to express what I thought was a very reasoned point of view. Obviously, none of us have that report either, but we are working to make it better. You know, but to think that this subcommittee has not contributed to this problem of image is to just be completely ignorant of our role. The fact that this subcommittee's met multiple times, primarily at the request of a handful of people, despite assurances from almost everybody who works there that they feel safe, and then to think it's not going to tarnish the image of the library is really just to ignore reality. Now, we may not like, some of us may not like the coverage of this in the newspaper or other media outlets, but that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get as a city councilor you start making allegations about the use of pornography in the library, whether there's rowdy teenagers there. I go to the library. I've not witnessed any incidents. I have friends that go there, tell me they have seen an occasional incident, somebody being disrespectful to a librarian. And I think, so I applaud the people that are looking to reduce those incidents. But, you know, I think this has been vastly overblown. I think the percentage of incidents to the percentage of users is minuscule. And I think we've contributed to that problem here. Of the image, and to think that this council has no role in protecting the image, I think we don't do our jobs correctly. Yes, we need to address problems when they're brought up to us, but there's a way to do that. It's the same issue we get with crime. Certainly when we have crime issues elsewhere in the city, it's always a kind of a delicate balance. You want to show that you're addressing crime and being tough on crime, but you don't want to tarnish the image of the city. And that's always a delicate balance, and sometimes we do it well, and sometimes we don't. And this time, we didn't do it well.
Council Elliott.
Well, I have just a little bit of, I have a little bit of a different take on it. I don't think it's just a few incidences. And I'm not sure why we sit here unless to bring issues forward that need to be addressed. And I think this issue is in need of being addressed. And if it provokes newspaper stories or discussion in the community, I don't think it's the worst thing. I think it's pretty widely known that there's been problems at the library, and there's been problems at the library for some time. What I didn't hear was any discussion on the motion of level 3 sex offenders. So before I continue, Mr. Manager, what is the status of the motion that was passed by the council and again, I haven't seen the whole report, but I don't see any.
It doesn't address
entrance in
that.
there.
That's in the hands of the law department. That motion came in within the last couple of weeks, and that's been sent on to the law department, and they're working on that report.
When can we expect that? Because it was several weeks ago, and I think it's somewhat of an urgent issue that needs to be addressed.
Sure. It's actually a considerable amount of research has already been done. I'm the one that's looking at it, and I still have a ways more to go. We have also obtained from the one of the cases that is one of the most relevant cases on the subject that's currently on appeal, both the brief of from the library as well as from for those in favor of the policy and those challenging it. And have sorted through that. Literally, the cases on the subject matter are significant, and what I'm hoping to do in the upcoming weeks, shouldn't be very much longer, is to provide the council with as good of an overview of what likely would be sustainable action on the part of the city and what would be constitutionally questionable. And some of it clearly, from looking at the cases thus far, there are limits. There is a constitutional right for individuals to go to the library regardless of their status. But beyond that, there are certainly reasonable regulations that can be put in place by a city to try to protect citizens using that facility and other such facilities as well.
I'm sure we'll have another discussion or meeting on that. But thank you. I'll look forward to that. But just getting back to the issues of safety, what is concerned is I don't think the subcommittee is trying to sensationalize anything. I think we're trying to get to the facts. If you recall the meeting that these employees came to, I believe it was 3 meetings ago, they were very passionate and they were very concerned. Like everybody here, I agree. The library does wonderful things. We want it to continue to be wonderful. Our schools do great things, but we have issues in the schools. We just want these issues, we all want them to go away, but they're not going to go away without being addressed. Maybe some employees feel more safe than others. But I thought they were very passionate. I thought they spoke with facts. I think there were specific issues. There were specific instances that have been brought forward. We've all seen emails, letters, communications. That tells me there's a problem that needs to be addressed. I have been in the library, not as much as others, but I was there a couple of weeks ago. I was there with my 14-year-old daughter. That lovely woman helped me quite a bit. Before I came upstairs, I was downstairs at the catalog. There was a man sitting with the hood on. He wasn't reading a newspaper. He wasn't reading a magazine. He wasn't checking out a book. 2 police officers showed up. I didn't call him, but he clearly was troubled. And I didn't say a word. I took my daughter and I went upstairs because I didn't feel comfortable and neither did she. So I happen to think there are some issues. Are they so monumental that people should be afraid to go? No, but they should know that there's a security officer Staff is aware, and we're taking precautions. And I think that's all the subcommittee wanted to do, and I think actions, appropriate actions are being taken. But I do think we're moving forward. I think valid concerns, Mr. Manager, with all due respect, I don't think they're personnel issues. I don't think these individuals are coming up and making it personal issues. Maybe they have a difference of opinion. Maybe their concerns weren't being addressed by the administration or by their supervisors, and this was their last resort. They love the library. They are passionate about it, just as these individuals, and they want it safe. I don't think that is too much to ask. I don't think it was fabricated. I think it's well documented, and we're taking the appropriate actions to address it, and I think we are moving forward.
Before I recognize Manager Lynch, I just want to just touch on a few excerpts from Councilor Martin. Councilor, we didn't convene this meeting because we wanted to, we were asked to. It was a motion brought in by Council Rita Mercier to have the Public Safety Subcommittee convene a meeting. We did our best to address the issues before us, and I think we're bringing this whole thing to closure tonight, to a conclusion. And if we accomplish one thing, the security guard is there now from 2 to 9. And I'm very happy about that, but I'm not going to dwell on it anymore. And we're going to adjourn this meeting in about 30 seconds. Manager Lynch, oh, I'm sorry. Councilor Dakota.
Thank you.
Councilor Dakota.
No, please, come speak.
We're going to adjourn this meeting in about 1 minute. I gave everyone a chance to speak.
I'll be quick, I promise. You know, there was a lot that I wanted to say, and I'm going to keep it brief because I think we've covered a lot of territory here. But what I wanted to say and make clear is that, you know, the young people who visit the library have been tarnished. They've been kind of grouped as rowdy, disrespectful teenagers. You should know that over 40 of them in the past 5 months have donated over 400 hours of volunteer time at the library. Do they come in after school? Absolutely, and I want them to. Where else would you like them to go? Do they gather at tables, talk a little, chat about their day, do homework? Yes. I think the library can accommodate all needs. I think we can have areas that are quieter, other areas where if students want to work on a project, they can. 2008, 2009, the library got a $20,000 grant to improve the young adult space, to buy materials, to do programming. Young adults were involved in every step of the grant process. Okay? They chose the furniture that you now see in the young adult section. And by the way, in the subsequent 3 years since we bought that furniture, there has been absolutely no damage to the furniture we purchased beyond normal wear and tear.
Okay, do we get your name?
I'm sorry, I'm Beth Brassel.
Okay, we're going to have to wrap this up. Councilor Dakota wants to have a final statement, and so does Manager Lynch.
Okay, I just want to say real quick that we do have problems at the library that we need to face, and our administration does a wonderful job. Just to let you know, for example, the library, the per capita funding for our library is in cities, among cities in Massachusetts over 100,000, we rank last. Springfield does a per capita funding of $32.43 per person. We do $8.48. So we do have real issues to face, and I just think that a lot of this has been taken attention away from the things that we really do struggle with: understaffing, problems with the building. And I want you to know the young adults do wonderful things in the library, and yeah, there are problems. There are problems with adults as well. So
thank you.
Leave it there.
Councilor Dakota?
Thank you very much, and I appreciate parties on both sides coming. I know that it's difficult to come with a complaint, and I know that it's difficult to have to feel like you're defending something that you see as beautiful, and so we appreciate that. I want you all to recognize that this is a very difficult position that you put us in, because we have to make a judgment call on who's more right and who's more wrong, who's exaggerating, who's not exaggerating, who's telling the truth. We believe that there are issues. We support that. We also know that there are people working very hard to resolve these issues. We have in our hands here on our desk a first step to a resolution. And I would like to speak for my counselors up here, if I can, to say we expect that everyone who is participating in the library works towards making this happen, gives their best effort. And we will continue to support all of you as you try to do that. But we need the best effort on this. And where there are tweaks that need to be made, we will support making those things happen. But let's finish this. Let's implement this so that we can continue to address the issues of the library and let people know what a beautiful and wonderful place it is, okay? So thank you very much for coming, and I'm sorry we have to go, but let's work together and take this next step in a positive way.
Thank you, Councilor, and on behalf of the subcommittee and the city council, we'd like to thank everyone who participated in this issue, and hopefully we can all work together in unity and harmony. Council Elliott.
I'm going to make a motion to accept the report and bring forward these recommendations to the full city council.
Seconded by Councilor Dakota. Roll call.
Counselor Caulfield,
Yes.
Counselor Dakota.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
3 yeas.
And Mr. Manager, could you furnish the clerk, make sure the clerk has a copy of these recommendations? We will be bringing at this council committee tonight, approximately 7 o'clock or so. Thank you. Motion to adjourn by Councilor Dakota, seconded by Councilor Elliott.